Hello, Wellness Check Wednesdays community. We wanted to take a moment to remind you that while our podcast serves as a safe space for open discussions and sharing experiences, we are not mental health experts. This podcast is a platform for you to express your thoughts, feelings, and experiences in a judgment-free zone. Our aim is to foster connection, provide support, and create a sense of community. It's crucial to acknowledge that we are not a substitute for professional mental health advice or treatment. If you or someone you know is dealing with mental health challenges, we strongly encourage seeking guidance from qualified professionals. Remember, reaching out to mental health experts can make a significant difference. If you ever feel the need, don't hesitate to connect with a licensed therapist, counselor, or healthcare professional.
This is the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast, a share space, a judgment-free zone, a place to meet and discuss our mental health. So let's check in.
Well. Man, oh man, this is yet another episode of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. I believe we're at 34, episode
Something
number
like that.
34. Losing count because this is not only is it fun, it's therapeutic, it's been very helpful when it comes to dealing with our mental health. And this is the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast, where we encourage each and every listener, everybody that's out there in the land of life that we're living. Every Wednesday, we like to let's check
in.
Check in and make sure that we are doing what we can do. My name is Brian Livingston. I am the moderator of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. Very thankful to have the originators of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast with us on this Wednesday, starting off by way of Cleveland, Ohio, the one, the only, my man, Edwin Vereen.
It feels like summer. Yes, high school football is right around the corner. I'm feeling good. I'm happy. I can't complain. None whatsoever. Other than that, all in all, I'm doing good.
There it is.
Edwin, I gotta ask before I introduce the other people, because when you mentioned summer, you being a former football player, and before we continue, can you describe two-a-days and with this heat and take 2 seconds because it be hot.
All right, so real quick, two-a-days, that's during like the first week of camp or maybe like midway towards it. Anyways, back home, of course, it gets hot, it's all outdoors. So what you want to try to do is get that first practice in from 8 to 10, because 10 gets a little hot. And then you go back from 4 to 6 or 5 to 7 or something like that. In between time, you watching film and hanging out, doing all that fun stuff. So that's the whole concept of two-a-days. You want to get it before it gets hot, let the heat happens, and then the cooling period, the cooler part of the day.
Gotcha.
/ night.
I was wondering because ain't doing too much of running and tackling and all that stuff during all this heat. But hey, that dog days of summer. But this was on my brain, on my mind real quick. I want to introduce the other originator of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast by way of the Share Studios here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My man, Kevin Marshall.
Boy, I like how you only just asked Ed. I used to play football too. I know what two-a-days are.
I didn't know that.
But at the same sense, yes, it is becoming a hot one here. It rained all night, and good gracious.
It's sticky. It is very sticky. And Kevin, you know what? The reason why I didn't know that you played football, but now that I know that you play football, they actually had a helmet to fit that head of yours.
You'd be surprised. Wow. I only play flag football, just to clarify.
Oh my goodness.
Twin tag, you play Kale?
Flag football? You already talk about flag football?
Hey, football is still football regardless.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't give football a chance. I was immediately a basketball player. I need to be on the inside. I ain't even like playing outside.
Oh, look, that's what I fell in love with now. But long story short,
I need to be out of the heat. So I'll run all the suicides you want me to, but I just need a certain portion of AC. That's just a tenth a piece. But we are way off track, man. Oh man. Also, want to introduce by way of Oklahoma, my man Brad. How you doing today, Brad?
I'm good. I'm good. And God, you just brought back every two-a-day memory I ever had. Thank you. Especially being in South, I'm from Southeast Texas, and even though it was an island, we got that island breeze. That did not help entirely once 4 p.m. came around. We were like, it's hot, coach, and and he's like, we don't care, you're running 110s, and then next thing you know, we're all running 110s.
Oh man, I said I'm an inside dude. Definitely. Oh man, we also have a very special guest joining us on the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. I want to say by way of Cumberland County here in Fayetteville. Hope Mills.
Hope Mills.
All right. Dee, thank you so much for joining the show with us on today.
Hello.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to be with you all.
Awesome. We're very thankful to have you here on the show with us. And Kevin lets us know that you are a school teacher here in Hope Mills.
Yes.
All right. And so we're very thankful for what you contribute to the upbringing of our youth, because that is very important. And I know for a fact, especially these days, that mental health is especially important when it comes to the upbringing of our youth, and also being in a position. I know your mental health as a teacher is, I'm pretty sure, it's always put to the test.
Well, I love what I'm doing. I just keep in mind that these are kids and kids will be kids.
That is very much so. Very much so. I don't know where we went wrong with Kevin, because he's still a kid in his own mind. But that's neither. You know what? I'm gonna stop.
Well, you know what? Just to give it a little bit of background, Dee has watched me grow up, so she knows how much of a knucklehead I am.
Yes. All his life. All of his life.
Well, Dee, I thank you very much, especially the time that I've gotten to know Kevin, an exceptional young man. I call him my little brother, and I'm very thankful for having him in my life. So I appreciate you for being there for him and all the things that you have done. And so, with that being said, we want to dive right in. Each week we discuss different topics when it comes to our mental health. And this week we wanted to opine on and talk about when it's time for a change. And we want to dive into where, like, we live this thing called life. We go through everyday living. We wake up, we do all the things to get ready to go to our various workplaces, or whatever that you may do. And we set a routine for ourselves, and we deal with certain things. We deal with, like, just what life throws at us. Now, granted, where we deal with it, this week we want to talk about how much do we deal with certain things, and then when do we know that it's time for certain things to change in our lives, where we're like, all right, enough is enough. We got to make some adjustments. We got to make some change. And I, for one, I could speak on a general sense. I can speak on a personal sense. Change is tough. Change, nobody, I don't think anybody really likes change. But at the end of the day, some things we've got to make adjustments. And so we're going to dive into that in just a little bit. Edwin, I want to pass the mic over to you, and allow you to opine on this week's topic?
As you said about change, and as Kev just said, for the good or for the better, change is going to happen whether you realize it or not, whether it's dealing with the changing careers, changing relationships, changing friendships, or just the overall aspect of change altogether. You guys posted something in the group, our Wellness Check Wednesday page, and I like it. It's a quote, and I'll go ahead and read it. It says, when it's time to make a change, the universe will make it so uncomfortable for you that you will have no choice but to leave. I know that all too well. When you're not happy in a situation, don't stay in denial and try to make it work. The world has better plans for you. Trust in the process. Do your part by aligning yourself with the things that you want, and the rest will be history. And I think the quote says, it comes from the Mind's Journal. That is such a matter of fact. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot and save this right now, because sometimes I need that reminder. And of course, I always come through with a piece of reading literature, if you will, from my favorite page, Psychology Today. And it says, the best ways to create personal change, and it is by psychologist Eileen Burns Zare. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. If not, please forgive me. Usually I get the names right, but sometimes I'm known to botch one up every once in a while. So the key points in this article states that successful change typically involves readiness, a solid plan, a sense of agency and commitment, and incremental steps. Readiness for personal change is an essential ingredient for successfully reaching your goals. Be specific about what you want to change and set a clear goal. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article, of course. I have it posted in the group chat, and Be Live will also have it posted in the description box where you can read as well too. So I'm going to look at a few of them here. All right, number one, pinpoint your readiness by understanding the personal change process. Then number two, it says figure out how ready you are. Sometimes I feel I ain't never ready, but you gotta do it. Either you gotta do it. It's like somebody said, hey man, either you can make a change or you can keep going around on a hamster wheel of doom, which I don't want to do. All right, number three, identify what you want to change. That makes sense, because if you start changing you'll start changing things, and sometimes you start changing things that don't need to be changed. So you don't want to, outchange yourself until you be like, what in the world's going on here? Number four, if you feel ready to begin preparation or action, consider these self-inquiries. And it says, are your goals realistic? What support systems can you call on for encouragement or to help hold yourself accountable? What obstacles might get in the way, and how can you deal with them? How will you celebrate successful milestones along the way? Number five, have a good plan. Number six, persevere towards your goal and take it one step at a time. I take that personally, and I'll opine on that later. 7, consider your level of commitment towards reaching your goal. And number 8, lean on your support network. Spoiler alert, that's part of next week's episode. So when you get a chance, I would like for all of us to go back and actually read the article. The article is pretty good.
Definitely.
As far as change goes, I struggle with it, and it's difficult, but I'm at the point now. It's like, dude, you are. So let's go ahead and talk about me real quick. My occupation and my future career. My current occupation, I feel like I've fallen out of love with it, and I'm just going through the motions. I'm there to get the money, get in and go out. But what makes my job cool is the fact that I have reminders of why I do this. And my coworkers, they always got something going on, cracking jokes, cutting up. You know how we do it in the service industry. But then I realized, okay, well, you don't want to be a 60-year-old server coming to work, not dreading your job, but having a bad case of the shoulda, coulda, woulda. So what I did, I decided to write things down. Okay, well, what do I want to do? Okay, I have talents, I have skills. How can I make these talents and skills? Becoming money-making ventures for me? So I just look at, what I'm good at and how I'm good at and everything. I try not to talk to too many people, because good advice becomes noise becomes chatter, and then I'm just totally thrown off. And so it's just realizing that the moment you sit down, just like that quote said, the universe is going to make it so uncomfortable, as like, you're looking at your bank account, you're like, God, something's coming up. You want to take a day off, you can't because of that, or you can't do this because of that. You have things holding you back. A lot of times it's you holding yourself back. Change is hard. Change is also uncomfortable, but I've heard from Steve Harvey and a lot of people, you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. When I started doing the whole video live stream thing, I'd be so doggone nervous. I'll be hooking up that equipment, sweating, just sweating bullets, and people trying to talk to me, and I can't hear nothing. I can just see my heart just racing through my shirt. But over time, me being uncomfortable led me to be comfortable in doing it. And so I'm having that same approach with everything else. So and like, even when we do like video live streams now for certain events, I kind of feel that sense of nervousness or anticipation, if you will. And sometimes it's discomfort, but I know that discomfort is like, okay, this is your first time doing this. You have to learn how to be uncomfortable, because comfortability can stunt a person's progress. Because if you're comfortable, you become okay with the status quo. Like I'm saying, I'm no expert. It's just going off of life experiences. And I'm looking at times where I've been comfortable and what it got me. And the moment I got uncomfortable, look where it took me. So, right now I'm dealing with uncomfortable comfortability, if you will. So that's my take on that. So let's try a little something different. Brad, what say you about change and knowing when, it's time to make it happen?
Definitely know a lot about change. Given that I've had to change locations, change lifestyles, changes, just lots of change in my life. And having to deal with that, like knowing when it's time to do it, I kind of get this little inkling, like this little feeling that, yep, it's time to make this change, or either I see something I don't like, or I get a feeling that, hey, I don't need to be in this place anymore. Let's get in motion some changes.
Okay. Kevin,
Yeah.
what say you?
Yeah, if you would, yes.
When is it time for a change is one of the toughest life questions that anybody ever has to ask. And for me, I correlate it to, like, with my girlfriend now, that it's in one of those things that she's applying for a director's position at Fayetteville Tech. And I told her, sometimes if you're not scared, it isn't meant for you, because if you are scared, some of the biggest and the best things that happen in life on your life happen when you're nervous, because that nervousness would drive you. And it's one of those things that everybody says, oh, you have nothing to be nervous about, you have nothing to fear. No, fear it, be nervous about it. And that's because when that happens, change is a good stature. Change is something good for you. Because even like my girlfriend said, when you're not nervous, it isn't for you necessarily.
And so what I actually want to do, I'm going to switch it up as well, real quick, because I want to. How they say it when they have those Congress meetings and whatnot? I like to yield my time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to. I have a particular question. D, if you are still with us, because I want to ask you a question when it comes to this topic, because, and I hate to put you on the spot, but I feel like this is something that's going to be important to all of us, especially being a teacher, and what you do when it comes to the curriculum, and um there's goals that you have set that you have to meet, as far as like getting your students up to a certain level of was it competency. I know there's particular words that go along with it. Are there moments of time where you have to like change the approach that you have when it comes to teaching certain students? And how do you how are you able to recognize that, and how it may correlate when it comes to change in general?
Being a teacher, you have to be very flexible. So change is something that you do every day. We make, or all teachers have lesson plans, but those are just that, a lesson plan somewhere. Because you definitely have to change to, first of all, like you said, meet the needs of those kids. And when a person is having a bad day. They may try to smile through it, but you get this feeling, you get vibes, um, and pick up on their different spirits. So change is something that happens every day, um, in a classroom. Now, as far as the curriculum, whoever is in charge of that, they do that whenever they do that and how they do that. And as a teacher, you just adjust to that curriculum and teach those particular standards, to make the kids lifelong learners. But change is something, it is hard, but like Kevin was saying, you just have to embrace it. Like you can take the weather today. I was outside earlier. It was nice and sunny. Then all of a sudden it rained. And it rained kind of hard, and then it just stopped raining. So it's just one of those things that comes with life, and just accepting it. Now, with change, it becomes hard when it's a tough change, because there can be some can't even get it out. Some tough changes in life that, when you're disappointed, that's tough. Um, and I was brought up by my dad was a preacher, a pastor. Kevin went to the church as well, and one of the things is you just have to learn how to roll with it. You woosah, you pray. Most importantly, you pray, and you just go with it. Hard, good. You just you really just have to learn how to inhale, exhale, and say, whatever change I'm dealing with that I don't like, it hopefully will just be temporary.
And I hate to do this, but I love her family. Her family is like family of mine, but her dad is the reason I don't invite anybody over.
Sounds like he has some certain standards that are necessary to be met. So you just can't have any and everybody just all up in you.
Oh, definitely not. And D can attest to that one.
And that's a
Yeah.
smart man. That's a smart man. Look, you just can't have any and everybody in your house bringing bad energy and bad vibes. And no,
Look,
I ain't mad. I ain't mad at him about that.
look, but hold on, because if it wasn't him, it was her or it was her sister. One of them three was texting me talking about, Kev, whose car is that? Who's at your house? What are they doing? Why you have people over? I'm like, oh Lord, nope. Sorry, D.
I'm gonna say
Yeah, Kevin.
it almost sounds like you had some people over that you had no business having over, and you didn't want to answer them questions. That's what it sounds like.
I ain't had that happen in 32 years, and I don't plan on having that happening.
Unsavory
Well,
characters, ain't that what they call them? Unsavory
this
characters.
Putting all
this is the thing. I believe in being a nosy neighbor. You got to know what's going on in your neighborhood.
Right.
Um, we have always sat outside a lot. Like I said, I was sitting outside earlier. So we would always sit outside, and it was like, who's that? Who's that at Kevin's house? And with technology, part of change, it used to be we just had to look. And then now with part of the change that we embrace was, hey, just text Kevin. Who is that? We would walk over there and be like, hi, especially me. Hi, I'm Dee. I'm Kevin's big sister, who you are.
well, and that
And that would go for any family member, not just the people that lived in that house or may have lived in a house. It could be a cousin of mine, anybody.
and,
Literally.
Yeah.
I like that because, and that's something we've actually gotten away from because of technology, was that interaction. Like certain things, like you get before, like this is me growing up. Before I got the chance to take it, this is me as a teenager. Before I took a young female out on a date, she had to meet both parents, had to meet both grandparents, and and it was one of those things. They had a whole conversation because not only you didn't have a personal cell phone where you could just talk to her in type of way. You'd have to call the house phone.
Yeah. You
And
proper
as a
term, the
Exactly.
term for that is courting.
yes,
Yeah,
and
courting. Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to pick up the phone if there was adults in the house. So if she was wanting to talk to me, she had to talk to my mom or my dad first.
But
Ooh.
that also, and I'm gonna be the Amtrak coordinator right now, B. I know this is usually your job, but that also comes with that change in that personality of generations changing, because from where you used to have to court, because I've heard the stories from my mom and also my dad, that you used to have to court for almost 6 months to a year before you even allowed to actually go out by yourselves without supervision, without a chaperone of either the significant other, the girlfriend, or the boyfriend's parents being 3 rows behind you in the movie theater. Watch your hands. What you doing? Nope, nope, nope. Ain't none of that.
Get your hand up off that waist. What you doing?
And here's
Right.
I enjoy this conversation, and I enjoy this banter. And Kevin is no longer allowed to Amtrak anything because he stayed on the same track. But it's like uh what, and because I was going to tie it back into our topic of discussion when it comes to change. Like there's certain elements of change that are just going to come with time.
Oh
We've
yeah.
had
Right.
we've had
Mhm.
to
But then,
yes
but
yes
then we have to be careful that the changes too are good changes.
Mhm.
Like when Kevin gave his example, you know, I think there's this meme going around, or GIF or whatever these little things are called now. They have so many different names. I can't keep up. But it was saying, and I won't say exactly what it said because I do need to keep my job for 6 more years because retirement is in view. But
Go ahead, say it. This is
it,
an
it
open
but
free
it
space.
but
No,
it
no, no.
said,
Preserve the retirement funds. Please
oh,
preserve the funds.
trust me. Kevin, Kevin knows I won't listen to him. Um, but it said, what do we do? And again, I'm paraphrasing, and you may have seen it. But what do we do when the village or the community is not in the best shape? Now, that's not what's said on the thing, but what do we do when the village is not in the best shape? Because, like, I come outside, I sit outside every day. I know most of my neighbors, but do most of my other neighbors know the other neighbors? No. And we're talking about wellness, and how can we sit in a home and say we're well when we're not going outside, being one with nature? We've learned, if we didn't learn anything else from COVID, we should have learned that the sun has so many different parts and aspects of our lives. And one is lifting the symptoms of depression. But
Mhm.
yet we want to stay in our homes. So we wonder why we're sad, why we're down, but we're staying inside of our homes. Like I make everybody get out of my house, and you have to come outside. And I tell my students, and in particular, I had one student last year. Um, her mom was like, she's just so depressed, this and that. And I said, well, she has a homework assignment every day for me. Every day that she can, she has to go outside for at least 30 minutes. I said, it doesn't have to be 30 consecutive minutes. Break it up 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't care. Just get up, get out. And let's just say she is a totally different child now. And I was just like, that's just from coming outside. Like you gotta get outside. But if we look at the change, we don't see kids playing outside anymore.
Yeah.
And then we're wondering why they're so depressed and sad. You gotta get out. You gotta get out of your homes. So
Well,
And
that's all.
also, And also when you brought that up, because I was just about to say that, I'm like a lot of times when I go home, I still see the kids riding their bikes. There's a guy across the street, he has a basketball goal, the kids out there in the street playing basketball. And it's just like you said, being cooped up in the house. And well, I'm depressed and I'm sad because you got this thing in front of your face all day, and you're being bombarded with a bunch of
foolishness
that ain't real life. Like I tell people, I said, what's on this
Hold on,
device right
guys.
here?
The UPS guy is coming. Sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
She getting something delivered.
Should I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I'm saying, like, you see this thing it's called a phone, like, this is not reality. This is not real life. That's why you have so many kids around here battling depression, battling, body image issues, and worrying about, okay, well, this one look like that and that one look like this, because you're stuck on that phone all day. And it's just a fact, like, you got to take it behind outside, go touch some grass. I know it's kind of like a harsh term, but like you said earlier, go touch the grass, go outside. Like me, whenever I feel like I'm in a funk, sometimes I used to sit in my abode for 2 days just brooding and stewing. I'm like, what you gonna do?
Right.
You gonna get up, you gonna go outside, you gonna take the garbage out, you gonna walk to the store, you're gonna walk to the local, you're gonna walk to the wing spot, you're gonna walk to the Chinese restaurant. And guess what? After you do all that, you're gonna get in your car, you're gonna drive to the gym, you're gonna work out, you're gonna feel better. Because matter of fact, real quick, me and somebody had a conversation about something, and instead of them staying in the moment, they were asking questions that didn't pertain to nothing about what I had going on. And so I've kind of found myself in my feelings. I said, you know what I said? I cannot, first of all, I got to quit telling this person stuff, because whenever I tell them things, I don't feel good after the fact. It's always a finger wagging or a lesson that has to be taught when I'm not asking you to teach me a lesson. And so I said to myself, you going to get up, after you finish your business, you got your live stream meeting at 6, you're going to get up, you're going to go to the gym, you're going to bust a sweat. And guess what? 24 hours later, I feel better. Instead of brewing in the house, I made that change to change. I don't know if that makes sense, from a grammatical standpoint, but I made that change to change. Just like looking at my career. I'm currently in the process of making that change to change, because I don't like what's going on right now. I am severely uncomfortable. And so I know that change is mandatory, because the worst feeling in the world is doing the same thing 365 days from now.
Right. And
what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over again, expecting different results.
Yep.
Exactly.
Eddie, cool. It comes down to one of those points that you might not realize it, but the story that I've heard and the story that I'm witnessing every Wednesday and whenever we talk is that you might not realize it, but you're changing in an aspect as you're getting older, because compared to constantly getting that finger waving and constant mom tutoring or that mom lecture, you're getting to a point to where it's like, okay, I'm changing to where I can let this in one ear and out the other, to where it's not phasing me, to where I know my worth and I know who I am and I know what I'm striving for. And if this person wants to see me succeed, they will see me succeed and they will celebrate in my success.
Yep.
If they don't, they can stay exactly where they are.
And that's why I said to myself, like, when it comes to supporting me and all that I got going on, you guys know what I got going on. I say to myself, either you're on the team, supporting, encouraging, put me in the right direction, lifting me up, or you're in the way. And if you're in the way, I got to sidestep you, because I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. Give me my people. That's going to be, that's going to lift me up, motivate me, encourage me.
There it is. And by the way, Eddie, cool. I hate to cut you off, but Brad, you've been awful quiet, man. Speak up.
Everybody's got some amazing stuff to talk about here, so I'm just here listening. I mean, I know most of the things about the change occurring, and I've listed a few things, I'll say, whenever I moved from South Florida to Oklahoma, that like there was a lot of change that had to happen, like whether it was with work or living situation, things like that. Like the main thing that made me want to change that, change my location, I felt a weird shift. It was just for all intents and purposes, I'll just say things were changing in my environment that I didn't like, and I wanted to get out of there as soon as I could before I got fired. So I basically said, "Hey, there's a scenario happening here. I don't like who came in. I don't like the way they talk to me. I don't like the way they act. I'm ready to go." And our team worked together frivolously for like a year before they're like, all right, cool. We got somebody coming. You can train them and you can shift your way on out of the office and be at home and work. I was like, cool. I'm glad it happened, because if it didn't, it would have been a miserable existence. And I don't like being in misery. It's not a fun place. And just I felt that. I felt it. It was just something in me. Is like as soon as I know that something needs to change, I'm like, I'm gonna make the changes. So made those changes, and here I am now, working remote now. So it was all because of change.
Sounds like a good change indeed. And that's the point of this topic. And we could have like 10 more episodes of talking about change and when it's time to change. Zoom is doing that thing where it limits us to 40 minutes, and so we're about at that moment of time. D, thank you so much for being on the episode with us. Brad, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
sis.
so much.
Thank you, brothers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to all of our listeners, everybody out there, we always encourage you each Wednesday and any other time that you feel like it when it comes to our mental health.
Let's check
in.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. Please join us every week, Wednesdays on Zoom at 6 p.m., and join our Facebook group for updates and to participate. We care about your mental health, so let's check in.